Hello and welcome to The Comic Cave. I'm Ramsey, aka Captain Away, and today I'm looking at the 2011 to 2013 series, The Fury of Firestorm, The Nuclear Men. Firestorm was originally created in 1978 when high school student Ronnie Raymond and physicist Dr. Martin Stein were fused into a singular entity, Firestorm. Ronnie maintained control over the body and Stein would backseat drive like an old man Jiminy Cricket. The character would remain popular enough to be a regular feature in DC Comics until Ronnie's death in the Identity Crisis series. At this point, a new Firestorm would emerge. Jason Rush, who would remain Firestorm until the 2009 series Blackest brought Ronnie back to life, just in time for the whole universe to reset into the New 52. With the reboot came the chance to create a story around both of the previous Firestorms, so let's see how that went and take this away. The comic opens on some rather nasty mercenaries torturing some poor family because something they're accusing the son of having. It's very deliberately not specified what this item is, but they say it's about the size of a football and that he could use it to kill them all. Obviously it's not some kind of bomb then, cause he's not worried about it hurting his family. It doesn't matter because he doesn't have it anyway, so they just kill the whole family and set fire to the whole block to frame them as terrorists. We do find our amusements. We're obviously not just disposable villains. They then go torture this scientist at CERN, where the world's largest Hadron Collider is located, so he can explain what it is they're after. Which seems like it should have happened first, but I guess it was cooler to open on that torture scene. Oh shit, this lady's been marked by Zorro? Man, you know these are the bad guys then. Cause all the torture and junk probably wasn't clue enough. What they're looking for is apparently something called magnetic bottles that contain the Higgs boson particle, or God particle, which at this time in reality was still theoretical, but at this point in the comic was being said to have been discovered by one Martin Stein. Stein had been hanging out in chat rooms to talk to teenage boys for totally non-pervy reasons, I'm sure, and had apparently chosen 4 of them to receive his magnetic bottles. Which, yeah, still doesn't sound creepy at all. Totally normal. Our terrorist/anti-terrorist group have already recovered 3 of the 4 magnetic bottles, but the 4th one has eluded them until now. That magnetic bottle is in the hands of Jason Rush, high school student and young genius, as he will happily tell you himself. Jason is unaware of what's coming for him because he's been too busy with his first world problems of how the handsome, popular, and white quarterback Ronnie Raymond doesn't seem to like him very much, probably due partially to a scathing review Jason wrote about him in the school paper. Come on, who's gonna get that angry about something written in a school paper? Also, this is your idea of a scathing review? Jason's genius is obviously not in his writing. Bam! Now that's scathing. When the unnamed mercenaries show up to Ronnie and Jason's high school and start killing guards and teachers, Jason immediately catches on to what's happening and runs for his magnetic bottle. He unleashes the Higgs boson particle trapped inside and it explodes? Oh, and conveniently transforms both Ronnie and Jason into firestorms. Why? Because quantum physics stuff happened and that basically allows for magical girl transformations. Yay. Ronnie never wanted to be a magical girl though and decides to attack Jason, which results in them somehow merging into this giant mega firestorm calling himself Fury. Sweet cheeks? Really? I mean, I'm not sure if someone could even get some SJW style rage over that because I think they would be too busy wondering who even still says things like sweet cheeks. Sweet cheeks? Anyway. Fury is shown as having an intelligence and personality all of his own, without Ronnie or Jason in the driving seat. Instead, we find the 2 young men trapped inside a weird quantum space inside Fury's head, simply watching his destructive ways through his eyes. Despite the obvious lack of control all this is supposed to imply, Fury doesn't achieve much beyond kind of scaring Team Asshole away, but they're just replaced by a more crazy group who take some kind of drug that makes them find everything absolutely hilarious. Well, at least somebody's having fun here. Eventually, Jason and Ronnie manage to fight amongst themselves enough to split Fury apart, but after a nice little sleep to cool off, the hyena pack here comes after them. They're not the worst of it though, because next, the person behind the hyenas and the first team sends this massive living nuclear reactor named Helix after them. So both Firestorms turn back into Fury, this time intentionally, and battle it out with his new threat. When they defeat Helix by cutting his freaking head off, incidentally, their mysterious masked opponent attempts a new tactic: recruitment. So first she invites Ronnie and then Jason to join her at her company. Wait, her name's Zither? So she's like a harp guitar? Zither is the owner of Zither Tech, also called Z-Tech, and puts Z logos on everything, even her building. Yeah, Z-Tech's headquarters have a giant Z on the top of the building. Yeah, super cool. Ronnie seems to buy wholesale into whatever it is Zither's selling them, as does Ronnie's mom and Jason's dad, as Zither builds a little planned community for them and sets them up with pleasant little homes and all they could possibly want. So Zither's one of those endlessly rich billionaires of the DC universe. Gotcha. Jason alone seems to be a little hesitant about joining Zither's ranks, seeing as, she sent terrorist assassins at them and all, who killed a security guard at their school, and their coach, and one of their friends, and tried to blow up their school. But I guess it's all water under the bridge now, because even he decides to go ahead and give working for Zither Tech a try. So the Firestorm 2 immediately head out on their first Zither brand mission, to a stadium targeted for a terrorist attack, where they find yet another Firestorm. Apparently, someone was able to hack the code of whatever quantum physics magic gave Ronnie and Jason their powers to create some phony and complete Firestorms. This Firestorm is from DC's stand-in Middle Eastern country of Iraq, and angry about the offenses America has perpetrated on his country, he has come seeking revenge. The Firestorms realize too late that this was always a suicide mission, and the phony Firestorm explodes with the force of a nuclear bomb, killing everyone at the stadium. Holy shit, that is messed up. Jason and Ronnie freak out about the whole affair because, they just saw thousands of people die right before their eyes. That's gotta leave some trauma. But before they can really even process, they're suddenly attacked by still another Firestorm. This guy is a Russian Firestorm named Pajar, which is Russian for fire. In Cyrillic, it actually is spelled like this. He's actually been going around in the background of a few issues, killing some other off-brand Firestorms, and he quickly overpowers both Jason and Ronnie. Once he realizes that these two aren't knockoffs, just innocent teenagers, he decides to let them live and just flies away. Good. I'm glad there was a point to that. Ronnie decides to follow him, wanting to know more about what's going on with the hacked Firestorms and their terrorism, while Jason returns to Zither Tech, where he's almost immediately sent out on another mission. This time to Paris, where more of the hacked Firestorms sit ready to spread more destruction. He first thinks this old lady is the culprit, but it turns out she was just a distraction. But before he can hunt down what they're now calling rogues, he's suddenly attacked by more Firestorms. How many Firestorms are in this series? These Firestorms were created with Zither Tech technology and sold to other countries as national defense, which is kind of the point of the Firestorm protocol for Zither Tech, arming every single country in the world with their own nuclear-powered soldier. So here we have Firehawk, the French Firestorm, and Hurricane, the Union Jack of Firestorms. They track down the rogue Firestorm and stop him, but then we see that old lady Jason thought was a decoy turns out to also be a Firestorm. Cause everybody gets to be a Firestorm. You get to be a Firestorm. You get to be a Firestorm. Everybody gets to be a Firestorm. Kind of loses its magic when it feels like everyone can be a Firestorm. Without warning, the Justice League International, one of the 50 Justice League teams during the New 52, suddenly shows up and starts fighting everyone. Which, to be fair to them, they've just come across a bunch of dudes with flaming heads, and one lady with a flaming head, so how should they know? For some reason, though, the hero Firestorms start fighting back, even though, come on, you really expect me to believe Jason doesn't know who Batman is and that he's one of the good guys? Really? The fight escalates until, for some reason, Jason decides they need more muscle to stop OMAC. Though I'm honestly still confused as to why they're even still fighting the Justice League at this point. More muscle would mean someone like Fury, so Jason decides to bond with Firehawk, creating Wrath. I'm sorry, Wrath. And yeah, I'm so sure sexual harassment is a necessary part of this obviously oh so necessary move. Which is why Ronnie and Jason were totally kissing the 2 times they became Fury. Obviously. Firehawk and Jason aren't as compatible of mates as Jason and Ronnie though, so Wrath is much more unstable than Fury and suddenly vanishes before the 2 split apart again somewhere deep in Russia. Conveniently at the compound where that Pajar guy had apparently been helping the Russian government create the Firestorm protocols. I guess. I don't know, Pajar is never really explained. Jason starts having visions of Ronnie and Professor Stein, despite the fact that Stein is supposedly dead. Guess he's alright after all. The primary importance of this is that Stein warns Jason that Pajar is going to be a bad influence on Ronnie. We do see that Ronnie did follow Pajar like he said he would, which ended up with him not finding Pajar, but actually getting captured and tortured, with one of his hands even being cut off. Yikes. A couple changes back into Firestorm later though, and it just grows back on its own, so I guess that worked out. Pajar ends up rescuing Ronnie for no clear reason, and starts working with him and my personal favorite of the Firestorms, this Indian woman who seems to be modeled after Kali, to battle a giant army of those rogue Firestorms who come out of effing nowhere. I mean, seriously, they were preparing for this battle, but like, where even are they, and where the hell did all these Firestorms come from? But why bother explaining anything when you can just punch more things, right? Oh, they're in Pakistan. Well, I guess that answers one mystery. The fight doesn't go very well, and Pajar suddenly turns against his companions and merges with Ronnie to become Scorn. I like to think he pulled a Jason and kissed Ronnie to initiate this. I mean, we see him pulling Ronnie's head back. Obviously the next step is the kiss, am I wrong? The moment Scorn appears, Zither activates a built-in protocol to her Firestorms that makes them self-destruct, killing first our awesome Kali Firestorm, then next Union Jack over there, and a bunch of Firestorms we never actually met. Our last bonus Firestorm, Firehawk, seems to get burned away by Scorn while trying a head-on attack. So Jason instead tries a different approach, jumping into the Firestorm Matrix headspace that they all seem to share, and trying to pull Ronnie out alone. He succeeds, and Pajar and Scorn vanish, never to be seen again. For some reason. We also see that instead of burning up, Firehawk just disapparated to Zither's Z building, where she finished her explosive self-destruction on the woman that both created and betrayed her. And with that, all the plot that has been building so far is completely abandoned, never to be mentioned again. Ronnie and Jason then find themselves unable to turn back into Firestorm, but despite the fact that they were in Pakistan, they somehow get home. They've both moved on with their lives, but that all changes when Helix suddenly attacks their school for no reason whatsoever. And, you know, despite the fact that he should be dead, they cut off his freaking head. In an attempt to turn them back into Firestorms, Jason accidentally combines them into a single Firestorm, with Ronnie in control of the body and Jason riding co-pilot inside his brain, much more along the lines of the original character. Now, they also have combined powers, whereas before Jason could transmute things and Ronnie could shoot fire from his hands, now the Johnny Firestorm can do both. Yeah, I said Johnny. It's their couple name. You know, Jason plus Ronnie, Johnny. Look, it was that or Raisin, and that sounds too much like racist, okay? With their powers combined, New Storm is easily able to defeat Helix, apparently trapping him in a bubble, shrinking him, and sending him out into outer space where he promptly explodes. Which seems a little messed up, but still less than cutting off his head, so alright. The Johnny Storm's first adventure is a continuation of the New 52 Captain Atom series. Adam's friend and mentor, Dr. Megala, can't stand being trapped in his body again after getting to explore the universe at the end of Captain Atom's series, and so he wants a new body. Firestorms. They basically have the same powers, so why not? Dr. Megala succeeds in trapping Firestorm and switching their minds, but Captain Atom has been spending his time on the moon creepily watching his old gang with a new TV power he's developed, and so returns to Earth to stop Megala. Oh, I see he lost his weird fire hair thing that he had in his own series. Guess they felt it didn't distinguish him enough from this series' hero. Megala and Atom face off in a confrontation that seems to have no connection to the previous series at all, with Megala saying things like, "I used to fear you," even though... What? No he didn't. And Atom warning the Megala Firestorm, "You will become the monster you feared I would become." What? No. Did we read the same Captain Atom series? Dr. Alexander maybe feared Atom was a monster, but as Alexander was so willing to point out, Megala was too blinded by science to see it. Megala uses up so much energy fighting Adam that Ronnie and Jason are able to take back control of their body. Somehow, though, Adam's unable to stop his attack completely, and the energy of attempting to do so ends up tearing him apart and sending pieces of him flying throughout the space-time continuum. One of those pieces ends up in the 31st century, so I guess he'll get to hang out with a legion of superheroes as well. Good for him. Firestorm's final arc sees Ronnie's mom being kidnapped by someone who has figured out who Firestorm is. This turns out to be the New 52 version of this villain Multiplex, who is able to create duplicates of himself. In this universe, he's someone named Dalton Black who used to work for Professor Stein, but was fired for being a bad dude. Before he was fired, he subjected himself to Stein's incomplete experiments, turning him into Multiplex. His power has started to fade though, and he believes he can use Firestorm to power himself back up again. To ensure his victory, he not only captured Ronnie's mom as bait, but also hired a team of supervillains to back him. A little overwhelmed by the attacks coming from all the various villains from all the various sides, Firestorm is luckily aided by someone apparently working for General Illing, who has been keeping an eye on Firestorm since the start of the Captain Atom arc, and that someone is named Major Force. What? That's really his character design? Oh man, the cigar. That's the worst. Finally defeating all opponents, Firestorm goes with Major Force back to Illing's base, only to find Superman and Professor Stein there waiting for him. Superman offers Firestorm a chance to join the Justice League, though I have no clue as to why, and that's where the comic begins. Ends. So let's begin the breakdown. While I don't have a problem with the art in any of this comic on its own, it seems to have been unable to match the scope put forth in the writing. The story was sprawling and epic, but the art was very close and personal. It made it confusing when characters would be talking about something like we were supposed to have seen it happening as action in the background, but those things were never included in the art, which had been busying itself focusing in on the specific character doing the talking. There's also a lot of unresolved plot lines in this story, like pretty much anything involving the comic's one actual female character, Tanya, the plot around the female member of the mercenary group, Lauren, who seemed to be becoming Killer Frost after Jason accidentally unleashed the Firestorm protocol on her, all of Lauren's mysterious past with Zorro, and anything to do with the other Firestorms or the hacked knockoffs. Instead, like so many other DC comics from the time period, it threw away all sense of mystery and plot it was building to simply bring about some more of the same style adventures longtime fans might recognize. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing on its own, but does clash pretty significantly with the first half of the series. More and more as I read through the New 52 comics, I find myself wishing DC had just gone with one or the other and rode that decision out to whatever end may come. These comics needed time to build these plots into something interesting, and they never got the chance. Which leaves it hard to even judge this comic, because I want to try and like both approaches, but mashed together awkwardly like this, I can't find myself enjoying any of it. So I'm giving this series a recommendation level of low. Maybe hardcore Firestorm fans can find something in these mixed attempts at taking on the character, but I think most people will just be lost in the mix. The collected editions get 2 Zorro scars and 1 magnetic bottle. Remember, that's moving from bad to good. So that breaks down like this. The first volume is definitely the best, having the best writing overall, and some bonus art and sketches. Volumes 2 and 3 have no bonuses at all, though Volume 2 does have 7 issues instead of the standard 6, and Volume 3 has 8 issues. So I guess they at least pad the pages a little. Thanks everybody for watching, and if you do enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I feel like I've been doing these New 52 comic reviews forever now, so I kind of feel like getting to something else, but I guess we'll see next week. If you have any opinion on it, be sure to let me know in the comments, and I'll try to get to whatever your suggestions are as quickly as I can. Until then, I hope to see you next time, right here in the Comic Cave.